It's time to check in with St. Catharines Mayor Walter Sendzik to see if he got out of his driveway this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Annette. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. So you had posted on Tuesday that your street hadn't been plowed yet. How are things now?
It's cleared, so I'm at City Hall now, and I was able to get across the city last night just to check out on what the progress was for our crews. And we're largely removed the snows from the snowfall from the streets. There is still a couple more cul-de-sacs, which are the most difficult for us to move because you need specialized equipment. But all things considered, the biggest snowfall since 1977, pretty much. We have this under control by now.
That's good, right? And probably a lot earlier than expected. Although I guess if you're living in a secondary street or a cul-de-sac, you're probably thinking, no, not as soon as expected.
Yeah, and I honestly, Annette, it's one of those things we have to get people to understand that a storm of this magnitude is always going to be a challenge. And so whether you're Hamilton, Toronto, or St. Catharines, there's always going to be a challenge to move this much snow and meet the expectations of our residents. And so, if this is the look of climate change, if this is going to happen in a more frequent pattern in the future, we do have to be better prepared for it. And so what we're looking for is, once this is all said and done, we'll regroup as a team and say, what could we do to be better prepared for a storm of this magnitude if it does happen again?
Any ideas off the top of your head?
Well, one of the things that we have to be prepared for is people have to get their cars off the road. We've been saying that all along. Like, the plows can't get through certain streets, even at nighttime when it's hard to see. It's very difficult. The volume of snow was hiding cars. This all makes for a much more complex snow removal program. So just removing the cars off the streets is a good start. And then making sure that we have the excess equipment, such as the private contractors, making sure that they are ready to go in a storm of this size. And so it's going to take a lot more effort moving forward if we get a storm like this again. But our crews work tirelessly, and they are a very tired bunch today, I can tell you that.
Kudos to them. You met virtually yesterday with the Premier, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the rest of the big city mayors talking about housing supply.
Yeah, housing is a crisis in our communities. All communities in Ontario are struggling with housing. And so the Premier and Minister Clark called this summit with the Ontario big city mayors. And really, it was an opportunity for us to have a two-way conversation with the Ontario government. So it's not about pointing fingers and saying, you're not doing enough or you're not doing enough. It's like, it was, what could we do together? And we were giving real examples. And Annette, I will say, there's 250,000 housing units that have been approved by municipalities in Ontario that have yet to be built. And so we've got to look at how can we work closer with our development community, but also how can they get their housing developed in a more in a quicker fashion. And there's a lot of complexity to this, and we've got a lot of work to do, but we have a willing government provincially who is looking to work with municipalities, which is great.
Because there's that red tape to go through, but then there's also the supply chain issues right now with shortage of lumber and other materials.
And it's not just materials, it's the labor force in it. And this is something that's going to be long term. If we don't start getting young people to see the construction trades as being a great place to have a career, we are going to be in this situation for the next decade plus. We've got to get more people into the construction trades, and that is really what's going to hold back an expansive growth of all affordable housing. So it's not just, high-end housing, it's the whole continuum of housing. If we don't have the workers to do it, we are going to struggle with housing for years to come.
Does St. Catharines have any particular housing needs or requirements that are a little bit different?
Well, I think it's the same in most communities. We need more apartments, and so we're seeing more apartments being built, but those large-scale structures take 4 to 5 years to build in any community. We're looking at more condos coming into downtown St. Catharines, which is a great sign. But we also got to make sure that the price point of all the houses that are being built match the young professionals that are just starting their careers, or the young families that are looking to move into our community. So again, the complexity of this is making sure that we have a spectrum of housing that meets the needs of those looking for housing today. And that's going to be a very difficult task. But as you heard from the province and from the municipalities, we're up for this challenge.
Okay, we'll see what happens then. Thanks very much, Mayor Walter Sendzik from St. Catharines. So we're going to get Brian to check out your weather right now.